I got a call one shift that a guest room was too hot. It was summertime and we had our air conditioning units set to energy saver mode. This helped cut down costs when a guest would set their AC to 50 degrees. It would actually be discharging 8 degrees higher than what they have it set to. Luckily, I was the one that set all of the units to do this, so I knew how to fix them. I went to the guest's room and knocked on the door, and said maintenance. A man swung the door open with the biggest smile on his face. I asked if his room was too hot. He replied yes it is, still having that smile like he knew something I didn't. I walked into the room and found the man's wife sitting on the bed. I said hello miss, and walked over to the air conditioner. The woman had the same goofy smile as her husband. I wondered why they were both so happy. I switched the air conditioner back to the original settings, making it colder. I stood up and was startled by the man that was now standing directly behind me. Did you fix it? Yes sir, is there anything else I can do for you too? He asked me where I was from. I said Rochester. His wife looked at her husband and nodded and smiled at him. The husband looked back at me and said, have you lived here your whole life? I was starting to get a little nervous and backed up a little bit. I said no. He asked, where else have you lived? I lived in Wisconsin for about 12 years. His wife let out a little snicker and covered her face with the pillow. The man said, Scotty huh? North or south? The middle I guess. I have to go if there isn't anything else. The man looked at his wife and she nodded to him again. He placed his hand on my shoulder and stopped me as I was heading for the door. He looked me in the eye and said to me, how would you like to make $5? I stepped back out of the man's reach and said, this isn't a swingers thing is it? The man laughed and said no, see we're from Maine. Okay, congratulations? I thought to myself like I'm supposed to know what that means. Well, I love accents, it's so fascinating to us to hear new ones. You're the first local we've come across since we got here. We would love it if you would say it. Say what? The woman said please, say it. I looked at the man who was as giddy as a kid in a candy store. Do you want me to talk to you guys for a while or something? The man wrote something on a piece of paper and said here read this. I took the paper out of his hand and the note said you betcha. I looked at the man who was now holding a $5 bill. I thought why not, so I said you betcha in the thickest Minnesota accent I had. They lost it, they started laughing at me like I just told them the best joke in the world. He handed me the $5 bill. So I smiled and said thanks. The man then tried to copy how I said it. He got pretty close after a few tries. So I said well, if there isn't anything else I'm going to head out. The couple lost it again and started saying out. I stood there and watched them laugh for a bit. Once they calmed down the man handed me another $5 bill. I asked if there was anything else I could say. The woman pulled out a list from her purse and handed it to me. I looked at her husband and asked $5 for each one. He smiled and said, yeah, $5 each. So I went down the list and said ufta, honkin', pop, hot dish, you betcha, and don'tcha know. They smiled and laughed hysterically, then handed me $25. I stepped towards the door to leave. The couple thanked me and shook my hand. I opened the door and thought I gotta give them one more. I pointed down the hallway and said, if you need me I'll be Oberter. They lost it again. I shut the door and left the room.
I want to mention we don't have any sponsors. So hook it up.
We like Reese's Pieces.
See you for Volume 3.